Good evening, everyone. My name is Paul Young. I'm just going to walk you through FIPA, which is Foreign Investment Protection Act. The reason why I want to do this is I wanted to discuss it a bit because there's a lot of misconceptions about what FIPA is and how it kind of comes into play as part of the overall globalization. So my agenda will be to discuss FIPA. I'll talk about globalization. I'll talk about the importance of foreign direct investment, and I'll talk a little bit about lawsuits as well. As like I said with all my presentations I've done in the past for these videos, I typically basically have a disclaimer. This is just my view. It's up to the individuals to kind of go out there and secure their own other view to make sure that they've properly researched these concepts. This is a little bit of a bio about me in terms of where I come from, and you'll see here I got 25 years of experience. What is FIPA? FIPA, basically it's an agreement that kind of protects investors. So if I'm taking risks to invest in a country, both say I'm a Canadian company investing in China or investing in Vietnam or Australia, I want protection for my investors that I won't go through huge problems there, whether it's the regulatory side or just different things to deal with to get the project off the ground. Because when I make an investment, I'm making a commitment. That commitment costs money. So if I'm going to lose money, that's going to impact my earnings. So I want some protection built into. That's what FIPA does. Why is it important in Canada? Well, Canada wants to protect its business, both its environment itself in terms of how it operates from the environmental assessments, the standards that we live by in terms of regulatory sides of the filings on the environment, health and safety, labor and all that. It wants protection there to make sure companies don't take advantage of those laws. But it also wants to protect Canadian companies as they go overseas to expand their operations. So it's kind of a way to protect companies in a whole, to basically provide some protection. How does it fit in? Well, globalization, like it or not, people will argue it, but globalization's here to stay. It's been around for decades, and it's growing more and more importance because of the way supply chains are more integrated now. It's very critical to move things forward. Canada's in a market of 36 million people. A Canadian company has to expand outside to better maximize its return for its business. That's something that's misunderstood by people. People don't realize that we are geographically challenged here, but we're also a country that's only about 36 million people. Therefore, to make money, to leverage their cost position, companies have to look for better ways to expand. That's where exports come in, and exports are driven by trade agreements and FIPA. Now, there's a lot of misconceptions too about foreign direct investment. Foreign direct investment has two pieces to it: an inflow coming into the country and an outflow going to other countries. That's how capital flows. And actually, this outflow, inflow of capital impacts balance of payments, which is not really discussed, but it's something to bear in mind. Why is FDI so important? Well, Canada has limitations to its access to capital. Yes, we have a solid banking sector, but we have limitations in the capitalization of our banks and the ability for those banks to provide financing to businesses. So it's always important that other things come into play from foreign companies. The other thing is Canada's got a lot of foreign subsidiaries here based on U.S., or U.S. being the big one, but other countries have foreign parents here. Therefore, they're bringing capital in here to develop the market here. That's all part of the way things flow. Second point here, foreign companies like to invest in countries that have stable government. Canada is very stable in terms of its policies, in terms of government. It's not radical to the size when you get into other countries, when you start dealing with globalization, when you start dealing with different type of governments in terms of how they're structured. Canada is very good to do business in. Second point is foreign companies need to maximize their shareholder value, and everybody say they're greedy. Now, that's part of it, but the other part of it is their shareholder value impacts pension funds like CPP, which you want there to be there for you, your mutual funds. It impacts all that. So you have to look beyond just the greediness of a corporation, but also look at the fundamentals of what drives their value and how it impacts the overall retirement and savings plan and the overall capitalization issues. This chart here shows you foreign direct investment. It shows you the outflow of about, for 2014, $828 billion outflow. But look at how much has come into Canada. $732 billion come into it. This tells you what countries are investing into Canada. So you're seeing the U.S. is leading it, but Netherlands is there. Well, that's part of it. That's to do with the oil sands with Shell. And if you look at the UK, we have British companies that own Canadian subsidiaries. Brazil, that's Vale. That's looking at the mining sector. So you're seeing where money is coming from these countries into Canada. What's going to drive things for business? Well, trade and investment deals will drive businesses' ability to expand, like TPP, CETA, NAFTA. All these are trade agreements critical to driving exports, to driving business investment. The regulatory environment. This is where the whole process of getting projects off the ground and the rules and regulations that business must operate. That's part of it. Innovation funds. This provides seed funding for businesses to help with innovation, to help modernization of their operations, which improves their productivity, which also allows them the better position to take advantage of exports. Export Development Corporation. It provides opportunities for business to provide accounts receivable support or other loans financing to help them drive exports to other countries. Let's talk about a few things that's come up all the time when we're talking about things. It's the lawsuits. In 2 decades that we've seen things like NAFTA, and if you use basically 20 years, okay, so we've had close to $8 trillion worth of exports, okay. We've only had $175 million lawsuits paid out. That's a small percentage. Despite how people will get up in arms about the lawsuits are a small percentage. And some of those lawsuits could have been avoided if we had proper government policies that would ensure that these projects, these companies are investing in, got off the ground sooner. I want to throw this up now to see where you see how it comes into play. TransCanada is one of the big players right now to move oil to market. Oil is a key driver of exports, so you're seeing now that under NAFTA, TransCanada is saying, I've invested money, my shareholders want to return in that value, the U.S. government isn't working with us, therefore we're really going to look at certain things to propose a lawsuit on Keystone. You're also seeing here with Sunshine Oil Sands, where the investors are saying, where's the return? You said this project was going to get off the ground. That's how things work. Okay, business decisions are made in boardrooms, correct. But what also drives this is government policies involvement. If government becomes too radical in terms of their policies, it will impact how foreign direct investment in. If they don't feel that they can get things off the ground, they're going to go elsewhere. And foreign direct investment is a key driver in the economy. It creates the jobs, it creates the investment climate that people will expand and spend money. The key with this presentation is to give you an overview of FIPA, to try to take away some of that misunderstanding what it is, to take some of that spin there around it. It's not dangerous, it's something that has to be in play. Usually a FIPA deal starts before you get into a trade agreement, and one of the stumbling blocks right now you're seeing with one of the growth markets is India. India and Canada are working on a way to get a FIPA agreement in place, and there's been some struggles or challenges. So that's something to bear in mind as you're having discussions with either your local MP or your federal MP or your local MP or MLA to kind of have that discussion. Thank you.